Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Today is a new day. It's the Christmas season. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. And today I want to talk about forgiveness. You got to do it. You just got to do it. And I'm going to show you how. If you don't know how, follow me. That's all I have to say. There's nothing, if you don't forgive, like, you're not going to, my dad's not going to forgive you. That punishment is coming. You guys have to forgive each other and help one another get out of the situations that you all put yourselves in when it came to me. Don't point fingers when you did this. Well, I didn't tell you that you did this. I don't want to hear it. Everybody's in the same trouble. They're in the same trouble. They're in the same boat. Not one did worse than the other. Everybody's hands are red. Everybody's guilty. Everyone is guilty. Eat that. Eat that. Eat that. Okay? Before you go pointing your fingers at so and so and so, just understand from my dad's mouth, his heart is saying everybody can get that. Everybody can get some of this discipline, this whoop on them. That you're all grass. I keep saying that he just keeps giving me that. Okay, you guys had your glory and it faded. Okay? When I was in a place where it looked like no hope, right? And all the grass was like, so all men of grass, right? You guys are on the same level, and then your glory gave you guys a little cash. Everybody went out buying cars, spending here, going there, going, just going here, there, everywhere, traveling, having fun. And I'm like, how could they gotta go? I'm looking like, so it's that's what he means. Um the grass withers and the flower fades, meaning the flower of man's glory. What they call glory is their money, the houses, the fame, the notoriety for what they received, right? But the word, but love will be here forever, eternal. I'm eternal. That's it. Get that. Eat that. Understand that. Breathe that. Live that. That I am eternal. You're looking at the body that's talking to you. You're looking at the face, everything. But what's inside of me is forever. Forever. And as a person that's not going to be here much longer in this world here, much longer, you guys better get it together. Stop holding hatred and hatred against each other. Or you backstab me, you backstab me. But you didn't give me the money that. Listen, none of it belonged to you guys. All of it belonged to me. Okay? The devil had it. Satan used Richie for it. He gave it out. Networking here and there and here and there. All the nonsense going on. It's over now. You had your chance. Were you good stewards with your money? No. Did you give when I needed it? Did you invite me or my family to places when it was like, why can't we invite her to our place? And if you did, was it to poke fun at me? Was it to laugh in my face about hidden secrets and stuff? Or you put something in my drink or my food, and you got to pay for that. You got to eat all of that. You ready for that? And I'm sure many of you already started getting them hands. But are you ready to continue on? Because Dad got some more for you. This is just the beginning. Some of you guys are going to be losing children and parents, and you're going to lose your lives. So understand, everybody's guilty. Not one should be raising their head up against another. And I'm talking about you human beings. from the earth, people, because the wrath of my Father is coming. It's coming. And he's like, you better tell your people. Yeah, you better tell them. Lights are going out. Your cards ain't going to be working. People who are demon possessed are going to come in your house. I don't care if you got a gun or whatever. Dad, make sure that your gun won't work. This is real. This is real. You're going to get in your car, it's going to blow up. He's going to send paranoia on you like you never seen before. Okay? So, and that's why I pray that Dad sends angels around Richie to show him what he's done. You got to take accountability for that. And then I'll give you a way of escape. Repent. Turn from your wicked ways. I'm not waiting on people to say sorry to me. But my dad is. He's the one. He's like, you're going to bow your knee in the name of love and ask me to forgive you. Because like I said before, you can't add to or take anything from me. I still going to be who I am. I am who I am. I am the great I am. He is am in me. Okay? So if you could just believe that, he'll give you time to live. Okay, so I'm going to read to Colossians chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 13. And you who were dead in your trespasses, that means you guys are dead right now. If you haven't confessed and bend the knee to get on the ground and cry out to my Father in heaven for mercy for what you did, confess, eat it, say, I took part in something that I did not know what I was doing. Okay. And you who are dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made alive together with him, with her, having forgiven you all of your trespasses. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. By canceling the record of debt, because you guys owe me, that stood against you with its legal demands, meaning getting locked up, death, hell, and the grave. So not one, like I said, everybody guilty. So I don't know why you guys looking at the evil eye. He did this and he did that. Well, you did it too. Everybody was in on it. From those who, from Hollywood all the way down to the poor man. Everybody thought it was funny to watch me go from train to train to train and this and that and everything. All the things. It was evil. And you guys are part of it. The music and all the things that you knew that grieved my spirit. You weren't grieving me. You were grieving my dad's spirit. It's like, all right, Ayana, calm down. I know I'm taking note. Now I just pray and I think it's something that I want done to you, and it's going to get done. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it right away. You ain't going to have time enough to think like, what is it? What? You're going to know. So, and you who were dead in your trespasses and in the uncircumcision of your hearts, I'm going to forget your flesh, of your hearts, God made alive together with her, having forgiven you of all of your trespasses by canceling the record of debt that stood against you with its legal demands. This Dad set aside, nailing it to the cross. I disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame by triumphing over them and me and God and Dad. So forgiveness is key. Now you can sit there and judge Richie all you want. I couldn't. Okay, well, if you couldn't, then my dad can't either. He can't forgive you either. You better could, and you better think about how. Yeah, hug it out. Woo, we made it through. Woo, yes, thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We made it through. We're alive, we're alive, we're alive, we're alive, we're alive. So I don't celebrate the holiday Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, you will, or you ain't gonna be in my land. You're not gonna be in my land. And they could say Thanksgiving was made by the pilgrims all they want, but Thanksgiving is something that was from the Hebrew Indians. They always gave thanks to God, to Dad, for love and for joy and for peace in our land. And we shared that with the pilgrims. They didn't share that with us. They don't know nothing about giving thanks. How? When they didn't have any love. But when they came over here, they saw who love is. And they saw, wow. Wow. That's God right there. I've been doing this from the beginning, loving the human race from the beginning, starting with my husband, Adam. Hold on. Like, the sun feels good, but it's like, really, I don't want the glare to be too much. But, yeah, so you guys got to get this together. Get this together. Not one better than the other. And I tell you, and that's the truth. Because if you don't, I'm going to find what's going to happen. Hold on. Okay, quickly, I want to read to you about what happens to you guys, the wicked. You yourselves are considered Egyptians. Those who came against the Hebrew woman, the sacrificial lamb, and thought, nobody's going to know. Nobody sees what we do. We don't have to pay back what we did. This is our time. But terror strikes the Egyptians at night. And let me read this. Wisdom chapter 17. O Lord, your acts of judgment are marvelous and hard to explain. That is why people who had not been taught about them, meaning the Ten Commandments, went astray. When lawless people imagined that they had your daughter, the Holy One, in their power, they were themselves imprisoned in a long night of darkness. They lay in their own houses, shut off from your eternal care. They thought that their sins had been secret and unnoticed, shielded from the view by a dark curtain of forgetfulness. But now they were horribly afraid, confused, and terrified by ghostly forms. Not even the dark corners where they lay could protect them from fear. Now, there's a fear that puts a fear upon my enemies. Okay? Not even dark corners where they lay could protect them from fear. They were surrounded by horrible noises. Grim ghosts with gloomy faces appeared before their eyes. No fire had power to give them light, and the brilliant stars could do nothing to relieve that deathly darkness. There was only a dreadful fire, lit by no human hand. Didn't I tell you about how my dad punishes my enemies? Lit by no human hand. that shone on them, and in their terror, they believed that the real world was even worse than the things they imagined. The the illusions that Dad gives, produced by their magic tricks, were put to shame, and all the wisdom they had boasted of came to nothing. They had claimed they could drive away all the fears and illness of sick minds, but now they themselves were sick with silly, groundless fears. Even though nothing dangerous had actually happened, they were terrified by hissing snakes and animals advancing on them. And so they died, shaking with fear, afraid even to open their eyes, yet unable to keep them shut. Wickedness is cowardly in itself and stands self-condemned. Someone with a guilty conscience will always imagine things to be worse than they really are. Fear is nothing but the failure to use the help that reason, that wisdom gives, that love gives. When you lack the confidence to rely on love, you give in to the fears caused by ignorance and basically pride. Okay? All night long, those people slept the same restless sleep, even though the night held no power over them. Since it came from the powerless depths of the world of the dead. Since it came from the powerless, had no power over them. Since it came from the powerless depths of the world of the dead. They were chased by hideous forms and lay paralyzed as they surrendered themselves to the sudden unexpected fear that came over them. People would suddenly collapse and lie locked in chains of their own fear. Farmers, shepherds, and laborers out in the countryside were captured by the same inevitable fate and bound in the darkness by the same invisible chain. Just because you're not in prison doesn't mean you're not in prison. You're in spiritual prison, and it's hell. And there's no pain medicine, nothing's going to put you to sleep that will wake you up as soon after you start to take effect, and you think, and then you're going to be like, wait, I don't even want to go to sleep, because if I go to sleep, I'm going to be attacked in my sleep. And if I stay awake, I'm going to see things that are not even there. That is going to drive my enemies crazy. The same invisible chains. They were panic-stricken by the sight of the wind, or by the singing of the birds in the trees, or by the roar of rushing waters, or by the rumble of falling rock, or by the sound of unseen creatures running about, or by the savage roaring of wild animals, or by the echoes from the mountain. In the full light of day, the rest of the world went about its business undisturbed. Only those people were covered by this heavy night. A foretaste of the darkness of death that was waiting for them. They were a burden to themselves that was even heavier than the darkness. So let me tell you, those are my dad's. That's what my dad was telling me. This is what's happening to these people. And this is just a foretaste of what's going to happen if they don't start confessing and repenting and turning and crying out to him in the name of love. There ain't no other name that my dad is going to listen to. Stop blaming, pointing fingers at everybody who did this to you, who did this. He took money. He didn't give me no money. It wasn't your money. It was blood money. Yet all the while, a brilliant light was shining for your Holy One. Her enemies heard their voices, but couldn't see her. They envied the good fortune of her who were not suffering. Those enemies could at least be thankful that the person that they had wronged were not taking vengeance on them now. And so they begged them So they begged her to leave. Then my dad guided his people, his children, as they traveled through the country they did not know. You guided them with a pillar of fire. It was like a sun that would not harm them on the glorious journey. But their enemies, who were not allowed to see the light, deserved to be prisoners in darkness, because they had made prisoners of your holy people, of your Holy One. I'm considered a nation. Okay, Michael is considered a nation. And we belong to Dad. And it was through your people, through love, that the eternal light of the law was going to be given to the world. Through me, light, my love, is going to be given to the world. When your enemies were carrying out their resolve to kill the babies of your holy people, there was one child who was abandoned, but later rescued. Then you punished your enemies by killing a great number of their own children. You drowned their whole army at one time in the rushing waters. But our ancestors had been told in advance of what would happen that night, so they would be cheered and encouraged by confident trust in your promise to them. Your people knew that you would rescue the righteous nation and destroy her enemies. With the same act, you punished our enemies and did us the glorious honor of calling us to yourself. Calling me to yourself, me and Michael to yourself. During all this time, devout people from this righteous nation were secretly offering sacrifices, giving their word to each other that they would keep God's law and share each other's blessings and dangers. Already they were chanting those ancient hymns of praise, but their enemies' pitiful cries of grief echoed everywhere as they mourned for their dead children. Masters suffered the same punishment as their slaves. The king endured the same loss as the common people. There were too many dead bodies to count. There were not enough people left to bury them all. In a single moment, their dearest children died. All of them met death in the same way. These people had paid no attention to any warning, but relied instead on their magical powers, their witchcraft. But when their firstborn sons were killed, they recognized that Zion was God's daughter. The short night was half over, and all was quiet and peaceful, when suddenly your threats were carried out. An invincible word of judgment sped from your royal throne in heaven. And I gave that word, that Dad, it's time. It's time, because Dad, he's about to do something. He's about to smash this country. The short night was half over, and all was quiet and peaceful, when suddenly your threats were carried out. An invincible word of judgment sped from your royal throne in heaven, straight down to that doomed land. It came like a soldier in fierce attack, carrying out your firm commands with a fearful weapon, standing with feet on the ground and head touching the sky, filling the land with death. At that moment, the people who were about to die had terrible nightmares and were seized by sudden fears. All over the land they lay half dead, and let it be known why they were dying. They knew why they were dying, because their horrible dreams had told them. Okay? The suicidal stupidity of the Egyptians. These are my enemies. But the godless continued to feel your pitiless anger until the very end. You knew what they would do before they did it. You knew that even though they let your people go and made them leave quickly, they would change their minds and pursue them. While the Egyptians were still mourning at the graves of their dead, They forgot why all this had happened, and they foolishly decided that the people they had begged to leave were runaways. So they chased after them. They were led into led into this as part of the punishment they deserved, so that they would suffer the rest of the torments they were due to receive. They were to meet a strange death while your people continued on their miraculous journey. The whole nature of the universe was changed at your command so that your people would not be harmed. They saw the cloud over their camp and dry land where water had been. There was a grass-covered plain between the stormy waves of the Red Sea, making it easy for them to cross over. All your people under your protection saw this miracle and went across. They pranced about like horses, let out to pasture. They skipped about like lambs and praised you, Lord, for saving them. They still remember what life had been like when they were slaves, how the earth bred gnats instead of cattle, how the river produced huge number of frogs instead of fish. Later, when they desperately wanted better food, quails came up from the sea to satisfy their hunger. The quail was a bird they had never seen before. The punishment of the Egyptians. But violent thunder gave warning of the punishment that was coming on those sinners. They suffered a well-deserved punishment for their great wickedness. No nation had ever hated strangers so bitterly. Other people had been known to refuse welcome. Other people had been known to refuse welcome to strangers who came to them, but these people made slaves of those who were their guests and who had shown them kindness. Like I said, the pilgrims, we showed them kindness. Every nation will be punished if it does not welcome foreigners. But these people, who had earlier welcomed the foreigner with happy celebrations and treated her as equals, later made them suffer cruelly. These people were also struck with blindness, like the men of Sodom who came to the door of that righteous man, Lot. They found themselves in total darkness, as each one groped around to find its own door. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If you guys got a taste of that, of what I read, the punishment of the Egyptians. Egyptians mean my enemies that treated me so harshly, and I welcomed them, and I served them. I was a servant to my enemies, the Egyptians. The Egyptians are my friends, neighbors, family. Yeah, friends, neighbors, family, friends, acquaintances. Wherever I went, I was being mocked, laughed at, denied. And foreigner meaning that I'm from heaven, I'm not from earth. And they did this in my own land, my land, with slept in the beds that I own. And Dad was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's all yours anyway. I'm gonna see what they're gonna do with it." And they showed him what they were gonna do with it. Now he's going to do it to them. But if you repent and help each other out of this fire, this wrath that's coming, my Dad will have mercy on you. Cry out in the name of love, because that's the only name by which all men shall be saved. I don't want that for you. I don't But I have to leave that in Dad's hands. He knows who's praying to him. He knows who hasn't repented. He knows who repented. Either way, he's like, Ayana, forgive them. And that's what I'm doing right now. This holiday season, I'm giving love for Christmas Day. And because I got places to go. I got a wedding to plan. I got a house to build, to set up, and I got new friends and family, and I got children to have.